Hi, this is Savannah Saunders from the Wonderful World of Dance, and today I am super thrilled to introduce English National Ballet first artist Precious Adams. We're here in the studios at the English National Ballet's London home, where they're packing up to move to their new East London home. So thank you very much for taking time out of your busy day, Precious.
Thanks so much for having me.
So let's very quickly take a look back at your journey to where you have come from Michigan in the States and arrived here in London at one of the most prestigious companies in the world. Tell us about growing up and what made you sort of dance, and how old were you when you first got started in Michigan?
Let's see, how did it all start? I always was kind of a mover. Whenever I heard music, I was like, I wanted to move. But I think I remember my mom kind of describing me as not a very graceful dancer. It's just kind of like a frumpy mover. But I remember always dancing in the living room. And my mom actually, she did her residency in New York, and that was what kind of exposed her to ballet and dance and culture and stuff. And so I think she always had this idea of having a really graceful daughter. And so she signed me up for creative movement classes, and it just kicked off from there. I used to be a jazz and tap dancer when I was 6 and 7 years old, and then I think I did my first lyrical solo when I was 8, and I think everyone just kind of realized whoa, she's kind of a more graceful mover. I look kind of awkward when I try to do hip hop. Teachers just suggested that I go to some real ballet classes and go to a ballet school, and so that started, and then it all just took off from there. I really just fell in love with it, and I think when I was 10 years old I was exposed to professional high-level ballet for the first time. So when I saw the Joffrey Ballet do the Nutcracker, and I did a summer intensive, and I saw I remember seeing this 18-year-old girl who was a pre-professional ballet dancer who had very good training, and that was kind of the first time I saw just muscle definition and just technique, and someone who was just so poised and beautiful and graceful. And that's when I knew I wanted to be a ballet dancer when I grew up. So then I started telling my mom, this is what I need to do, this is where I need to go to a ballet school. And she just supported me and helped me, and then convinced my father to also support me as well. And I think by the time I was 16, 17, 18, I think they both just kind of realized okay, it wasn't just a hobby or a passion. I think they could both see I could have a future, and so they both really support me. So,
And you went on to train with some prestigious and across the globe dance schools. So you started with the Academy of Russian Classical Ballet, Michigan, but then you've also trained with the National Ballet School of Canada, the Princess Grace Monaco Monte Carlo, and the Bolshoi Ballet Academy as well. And in fact, I should have said that as the Academy Princess Grace Monaco Monte Carlo. No, still didn't get it right, third time.
It's Ballet de Danse de Monte Carlo. The Academy de Danse Monte Carlo? Yeah, the official name of it now.
But tell me, so, that's quite a global, prestigious training. How has those experiences influenced you as a dancer?
I think it's made me an incredibly versatile dancer. Even now, today in class, I switch up kind of what base of technique I focus on. Sometimes I change my style in class, and I'll do kind of more French footwork, or I'll use kind of a more Russian style. And I throughout the season I switch up kind of which style I focus on, a more English style, a more a more controlled, a more subdued style. Sometimes I get a little bit more American with it, and I think it's made me a very versatile dancer. It's just kind of expanded my understanding of the different ways of training.
And then after you graduated, tell us about how you came to join the English National Ballet. What inspired your journey here?
Well, I actually got a contract at English National Ballet through the Prix de Lausanne ballet competition in Switzerland, which was a dream of mine from, I think it was when I was 12 years old, was when I first found out about Prix de Lausanne on YouTube and watched those videos, and then I realized how selective it was, and how it wasn't just, you weren't just judged off of a 2-minute variation, or in some cases a 45-second variation on stage. You were judged across a whole week. And I remember when I was 12 years old, I was I need to do Prix de Lausanne at some point, because I was like, I think it would be a really good learning experience, a really good growing experience, and I just figured it's kind of a really good way to expose yourself to several different directors in one go, instead of traveling a lot to audition, which can be like really, which can be really expensive. And so yeah, that's how I got my contract. I did Prix de Lausanne, and yeah, I had a conversation with Tamara while at the networking forum at Prix de Lausanne, and it just kind of made sense because it was a corps de ballet contract versus getting like a trainee contract. And the thing was, I was 18 going on 19 the year that I did Prix de Lausanne, so I knew in September, the start of a new season, I was going to be 19, and I was kind of like, I don't think I really want to do a trainee program at this point, because I was like, I'm 19, I'll be 19. I think I'm ready to be in the corps. So Tamara had a lot of faith in me, and yeah.
So in fact, you were a double prize winner at the competition. Yeah. So I'm not surprised that Tamara has snapped you up and had you join the corps. And you've been with the company 5 years now, and you're a first artist now. Tell us about what the transition from being a professional ballet student, I guess, into a professional company member. What was that? What's the last 5 years in terms of the transition felt like?
It's a really interesting transition. I think a lot of people, there can be a bit of a shock when you go from being a student to being a professional, because suddenly you're not paying to get training, you're getting paid to perform and to produce a certain level of work for a company. This is a business, and while it is like, it's my passion and it's my life's work, it is a business, and in a way, like, my body's like the product, kind of. So it's a lot more self-discipline. You don't have a teacher looking at your every movement, looking to see if you're doing your technique correctly, if you're practicing everything in class correctly. There isn't someone like pushing you and nagging you necessarily. There's obviously there's support, and that's what our coaches are for, but you realize a lot more of that discipline comes from yourself. You also have a lot more freedom. I'm not in a boarding school with a curfew anymore. I'm of drinking age. I live in London. There's so much that I'm exposed to, and you realize, like, as far as you want to go with your career, it's kind of up to you. Do you want to come in early and do Pilates, or do you want to like sleep in and like just show up for the rehearsal, and like all those little patterns. Like your director, the ballet masters, they all keep track of that, and they take note of that, and you kind of realize, like, it's kind of in your hands now how far you want to go, because everyone's at like this really high level. You wouldn't have gotten into the company if you weren't, at this high level. You kind of realize, like, it's kind of up to you now, like, how far do you want to go? Do you want to do principal roles? Do you can you handle the pressure and the stress? And I think I go through like periods when I get little opportunities, when it feels really good to be given that little bit of extra responsibility to do, pas de trois, to do a little bit, to be shown a little bit more. But it is like more pressure, and sometimes psychologically, if you're not kind of in a place where you're ready to handle that pressure, you don't always perform at your best. But then there's other times when you feel like, I can do more. It's all up to you now. You have to take all the training and experience that you've acquired over like the past 8 years or however long you've been doing ballet, and just kind of like utilize it. Yeah.
And the English National Ballet is a touring company, so you're on the road quite a lot. Mm-hmm. Tell us about life as a touring dancer.
It's really fun. I think if you just like embrace it. We do a national tour every fall for 5 or 6 weeks, usually to the same cities around the UK, which is kind of nice to like know, like, oh, every year I get to go back to Bristol, which is like my favorite, UK city outside London. Or we do a lot of really fun international tours, which is kind of the big perk. Like we've gone to China, we've gone to Japan, Singapore, New Zealand. I can name all the countries we've gone to. We've gone like everywhere: Colombia, Oman, just some really incredible places. And I know that I wouldn't have gotten to travel that much if I had done something else with my life. So I always try to like look for like when times get hard, because it is hard to be moving all the time. I think about, oh my God, I would have never gotten to go to Japan and stay in a 5-star hotel for 3 weeks if I had any other job, I don't think. So little things like that just make it all worth it. So.
And looking back over your 5 years with the English National Ballet, Do you have any real highlights or moments that really stand out for you already in your career so far?
Yeah. So like I said, some of the incredible places that we've toured to internationally, but in terms of performances, I did the chosen one in Pina Bausch Rite of Spring this year, which
was amazing, by the way. I have to.
Did you see it?
It was literally. You were incredible.
Did you see it?
Absolutely, sensational.
Oh, thanks.
that performance will stay with me, I think, for the rest of my life.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that means so much. Yeah, it was. I remember the first show. It was quite. It's weird. It's kind of trippy because I had done it 2 years ago when we first did it. Just a part of the group, and I remember saying that it was like this like really spiritual like experience because it's really physical, but it's also something about being in the earth and being with everyone. There's like this ritual like connective thing that happens that just feels really good. But when you suddenly are the chosen one and you're brought out of like the collective group and like the safety of being in the group and you face everyone, it's like this emotional overload, and you can see everyone against this black backdrop. And it's just the strangest thing, and it was like this weird out-of-body experience, but it was just really, really incredible. So that one will stay with me forever, just in terms of just feeling like really like free and good on stage. And then all the Forsyth stuff we've done has just been like really rewarding, I think, because working with Billy, the journey of working with Billy Forsyth is just so rewarding, and it's such a like beautiful collaborative experience. And I think he knows how to like bring some like really good, interesting, creative things out of you as a dancer, which has been, so that experience was very fun. But also doing pas de trois was also really rewarding, doing something like really classical with the company that was kind of featured was really nice. So
some good memories there.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, I had a look on your fabulous Instagram, and I love how you describe yourself as a visionary and innovator, creative athlete.
I have to thank my mom for that one. We were having some like Facebook conversation, and she's like, Precious, you're a creative athlete, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, Mom, when did you start saying creative athlete? That's wonderful, like that's great, because I was like, I kind of like the way that sounds, because I think a lot of dancers, we've gone beyond just being like a tutu wearing like being or whatever. It's, a lot of it's like you have to curate your image online. You have to like sell yourself, you want to do galas, you want to do shows, you want to do collaborations with other artists and stuff. So it's kind of gone beyond just like point shoes and tutus, I think.
Yeah.
And I think like what E&B is also trying to do is we're trying to appeal to a wider audience. So I think the term creative athlete just kind of like opens up that, we're like these high-level professional classically trained dancers and artists, but we do a lot more than just your Sleeping Beauties and stuff. We try to do it all. So
yeah, I love that description, and I loved also your description where you say, you're seeking the fullest expression of self, and I wanted to hear what that fullest expression is for you, and what does that mean for you?
That's a very deep question. I don't want to go too deep into it, but
that's okay.
I think I guess again, I realized I was a mover from really early on. I think I have an artistic side, I have a creative side, and as it turns out, my physical body is how I choose to express myself. And I think ballet and technique all come into the picture with just learning how to refine what I choose to do with my body and how I choose to express myself, so that there's more definition in how I express myself. It can be contextualized a little bit cleaner, and that's where technique comes in. But I think it's the beautiful combination of all my technical training with everything that I bring through my artistic side and everything that develops artistically, and bringing those two together with the music can just be this really beautiful experience. And as it turns out, that's how I express myself, and I think how I express myself the best. Yeah. And
you talked about the sort of rigors of the training, and it's obviously quite a lot of hard work in addition to just being in a company. Touring companies, as you say, traveling can be quite arduous, although lovely, wonderful places. How do you, deal with all of the physical and emotional demands of this incredible, creative, athletic profession that we have?
I am still trying to figure that out. The mental and physical sides of it. It's all about like trying to find a balance. I know that like doing little conditioning things like Pilates and gyrotonics and trying to keep those things accessible to myself, because I know that physically they help me so much. But yeah, I meditate every morning. And I started doing that about 2 years ago, and I think that really, it's helped me so much with like just balancing like everything that can get caught up in your head. So that's kind of, those are kind of like the things that like help me stay balanced, like physically and mentally, is meditating, trying to be mindful, because the traveling a lot, obviously all the stress and the pressure can be a lot, and then sometimes when I just get like way too crazy, I just go, Precious, it's just ballet. Like, you don't need to be so, wow, it's like it's my entire life's like purpose. Sometimes I just like have to bring myself down a peg and just be like, it's just ballet, like, you know, and you just gain some perspective. And so little things like meditating and Pilates and all of that, they help me like calibrate my body and mind.
So you're 5 years into company life with E&B around. So what are you sort of looking forward to in the future? You're very young. You're at the beginning. Not the beginnings of your career, but the early stages of your career. What are you sort of aspiring to, or what goals do you have personally for yourself that you'd be happy to share?
Okay, well, this summer I'm doing my first full-length ballet. I'm performing Sleeping Beauty in Cape Town with Cape Town Ballet. So that's a big tick that's gonna happen. But beyond that, I mean, I just have like normal like goals. Like, I want to start a family someday. I want to get at least a bachelor's degree before my dance career is over, and put a small business in place. So yeah, like all of those things are like in my head, and I'm trying to like set those things up. My sister and I have started a small non-for-profit project that we haven't officially launched yet, so I'm not gonna like talk about it too much.
That's okay. We look forward to hearing about it in the future.
Yeah, you'll hear about it soon. But yeah.
And what do you think is special about this company, and why does it feel like home to you?
I think something about touring so much with the dancers in E&B has like made us all really close. And we do over 128 shows a year, and if you're in the company, you're on stage for, I think I'm on stage for like 125 of those shows at least. At least I think if you're like under first soloist, you're on stage for like 96% of the shows, I would say, at least, if you're physically like fit. So I think just like the workload and the traveling, it just makes you close. And I think everyone, we have like the same plight, so we all just like support each other. And I think for the most part, the company culture is, it's not competitive in a nasty way. There's just like none of that black swan crap. It's just like kind of not here. And I think also just with like having like psychologists on hand, nutritionists, physical therapists, having all of those resources, sports science, all those resources just like are a part of our company now, and Tamara's brought all of that in. I think it's just helped to create a much healthier like work environment, and I think it's just there's all this support around, so it's just made us all really close, I think, as a family and as friends. And
your days are quite long, obviously. How do you mentioned meditation. What would people be surprised to learn about you that you do outside of your ballet world?
I wish I had something like cool and weird that I did, but I don't think I do. I guess the meditating is kind of like, that's like a pretty like deep personal thing that I'm like telling you guys now. So.
Well, I know that will inspire a lot of people, actually.
Yeah, I think it's become like a lot more popular in Western culture now, and I think it's really beneficial. I think you just have to kind of find the type of meditation that works for you, and there's so many different methods and ways to kind of like I don't know, find yourself or whatever, balance yourself. I think that's my secret.
It's a good secret to have. And who inspires you in your life? Not just in the dance world, perhaps, but in your life, who has been or is an inspiration to you?
There's like so many people. I mean, we can just go through like all the people on Instagram I follow, pretty much. Not to be like totally millennial, but actually I have my mentor Annette Anthony. She's kind of like she's not a dancer, but somehow we like came together, and she's a huge influence on me because she's an independent Black woman just doing her thing. So she's like a really important inspiration to me, and she inspires me to do something with my life. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned role model there, and of course you will be a role model to so many aspiring dancers around the world. And I'm interested to know if one of those younger dancers came to you and asked for your words of advice based on your experiences so far, what advice would you give to other aspiring young dancers?
I guess I would say, like, trust your gut, trust your intuition. Try to get in tune with your intuition and your gut, and like follow your heart. If it feels like the direction that your heart is telling you to go, and like the outside world is telling you differently, maybe you just have to change your environment, and just don't stop listening to your heart. Yeah,
that's really lovely advice. And finally, why do you dance? What do you love about it? What makes you get up every single day and continue to do this?
I guess I just like, it's when you have like those little moments of like when a pirouette feels just really on it or really good, or when you can just like indulge a little bit in a step, or like just being like the community of like being in class with like people that love ballet the same way you do. It's like, yeah, there's like these little golden moments that happen throughout like the tough times, because I mean ballet is not easy. That just make it all worth it. And yeah, I remember like the little feelings I had when I was like a little girl who really wanted to dance. And I just like remember like I'm living my dream. So.
Well, it's a beautiful dream. We love to watch you. Good luck in Cape Town. That sounds amazing. Great company. And for those who are listening, of course, check out, and you have got to love Precious's Instagram. It's Preciosagram. Fantastic. I love it. PRECOIOUSAGRAM. Preciosagram. Thank you so much.
Thank you.